What? Hey, how you doing? My name is Nick Digilio. How are you? Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. Thank you for checking out my Patreon page. If you're on my Patreon page, please give a little dough. It's easy to do, and it's very cool. You'll be one of the cool kids if you do that. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Patreon.com/NickDShow. If you're not there, go there. Donate some dough. Pick a tier, $3, $6, $25 a month. You'll get some bonus material that's already there. There's some videos that are there that only patrons can get. And in the future, we're going to have more merch and more stuff like that. But right now, just giving dough would be cool because all the stuff that I do, from these videos to the reviews that I do, to my podcast, to the stuff that I do on WLS, that's all provided free. So the least you can do is kick it back. So Patreon.com/NickDShow. Give money now, right now. You'd be cool if you did. So do it. Listen to my podcast. I got 2 of them on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. And they're also available on every single platform. All you got to do is Google Nick D Podcast. It'll pop up on everything, your Spotifys, your Amazons, your Apples, your whatever the hell else. All of them. Every single platform you can get it. The Nick D Podcast is an entertainment pop culture review podcast, very similar to what I used to do at that stupid radio station that I used to work at. And some of the guests that I had from those days, we review movies, we talk about entertainment, we have great guests and celebrities. Esmeralda Leon is my co-host. We do a lot of really cool stuff. We talk about life and pop culture. It's fun. It's entertaining. People like it. You should like it. You should subscribe now at RadioMisfits.com. Every Tuesday and Friday, new episodes of the Nick D Podcast. Every Wednesday, once a week, you can get editions of my podcast called That Show Hasn't Been Funny in Years, an SNL podcast. It is a podcast that's entirely dedicated to Saturday Night Live, the greatest sketch comedy show of all time. There are 48 seasons worth of material to go through. So I do a lot on that show. Sometimes I have guests, sometimes I don't. But we talk about behind-the-scenes stories, the best episodes, the best sketches, the best cast members, best hosts, worst, in all those categories as well. If you like Saturday Night Live and you're not subscribing to my podcast, you're a dipshit. So subscribe right now, RadioMisfits.com. So those are all free. You can hear me every other Friday on the Steve Cochran Show, sometimes even more. On the Steve Cochran Show on WLS AM 890, the Big 89 here in Chicago on your AM dial. Live every other Friday, and again, sometimes more, on the Steve Cochran Show, reviewing all the new movies, talking about other stuff, and really having a great time with that. And being on the radio, a real radio station on the AM dial like I used to do, it's fantastic. You should check that out and listen to it on Fridays, and you should listen to the Steve Cochran Show every morning from 5:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on WLS AM 890, the Big 89. So those are all the places where you can check me out. My podcasts, WLS, Nick D Podcast, Saturday Night Live Podcast, here on the YouTube channel, and wherever the hell else I show up. I will be doing my hosting and Q&A and moderating duties as one of the people working and being in charge of stuff at the Flashback Weekend Horror Convention. Mark your calendars and get your ass out there. August 4th through the 6th at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare. This year, it's going to be fantastic, as it is every year. Mike and Mia Kurz, who run the Midway Drive-In in Sterling, Illinois, they run this convention. It's the best horror convention in the country. I've been a part of it since the very beginning, way back in 2002. And I'm a host and a Q&A moderator, and I run around and I introduce things and I do all kinds of stuff. It's great. I love being part of the Flashback family. It's always really cool. It's always great to hang out with the fans and meet all the celebrities. It's going to be great. There's a Christine reunion, John Carpenter's Christine, big reunion there. The car is actually going to be there. The Christine car is going to be there. There's a Scream reunion, this reunion of Terrifier and Terrifier 2, a whole bunch of other really cool horror celebrities. Joe Bob Briggs, the drive-in god, is going to be there, and so is Rich Coase, Svengoolie, so 2 of the greatest horror hosts of all time. And they're going to do a bit on Friday night where they're going to be on stage together. That's pretty cool. Joe Bob and Svengoolie on the stage together. It's going to be amazing. And speaking of being on stage, me and Esmeralda are going to be doing a live version of our podcast, of my podcast, on that stage at the Flashback Convention on August 5th. So Saturday, August 5th at 12:30 in the afternoon, the Nick D Podcast will be live from the Flashback Weekend Horror Convention. We will do a live podcast recording. You can be a part of it. You can participate. We're going to have interaction with the audience. We're going to talk about horror movies and scary things, what made you scared, other things. It's the 40th anniversary that day, August 5th of 2023. That day is the 40th anniversary of a certain movie, and we will talk about that as well, so that'll be something else. We're giving stuff away. We're going to have really cool t-shirts and all kinds of other really cool stuff. So it's interactive. Be a part of it. Let's pack the place. Let's pack the place. All the Nick D Podcast fans out there, I expect all the seats to be filled with you having fun at the Flashback Weekend. So again, Flashback Weekend Horror Convention, August 4th through the 6th at the Hyatt Regency in O'Hare. It's going to be an amazing weekend. I'll be there all weekend. You'll see me there running around like a maniac. And specifically, Saturday afternoon, August 5th at 12:30, in the ballroom at the Hyatt Regency, a live version of the Nick D podcast that you can be a part of. So get your ass there, get your tickets. Flashbackweekend.com, flashbackweekend.com. Okay. The point of me cutting this video is that this past weekend was a really chaotic, fun, weird, and very unusual weekend for me. My birthday was this late last weekend. It was my Thursday. Thursday was my birthday on July 6th. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know that you're all saying, oh, happy birthday, Nick. Yeah. Or you're going, fuck off. Your birthday sucks. Hey, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Thank you. So anyway, I had from Thursday night on through Sunday evening. The reason I'm posting this is because those 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I should say, so 4 days, I dealt with more humans on a collective level than I have for 3 years. So in those 3.5 days, I was in the company of and dealt with more human beings in mass than I have in well over three, even more than that, well over 3 years. Pre-pandemic, I was, working overnights and not going out a lot of places and stuff like that. So this was the first time where day after day after day, for like 3 solid days straight, I was dealing with thousands of people. And it was really kind of weird. As someone who was working overnights and not really having a social life and seeing not many people on the street, I would go to movies here and there, but there wouldn't be thousands of people at the movies, and I wouldn't have to deal with thousands of people in the streets. And then there was COVID when nobody was out, which is actually the way I prefer life. If we could have a really cool life with no disease, but it could be like COVID, like going places and like especially being downtown and especially crossing the Michigan Avenue Bridge with a bunch of dipshits who don't know how to walk across because I hate people, you know that. Because most of all, 90% of the people on the planet are fucking morons. And they actively display that in public on a regular basis every day, especially when there's a bunch of them in one area. And there was a bunch of them in one area several times this past weekend. So Thursday, I saw 2 movies for my birthday. They did not screen the Insidious Red Door movie, so I saw that because I had to review it Friday morning on the Steve Cochran Show, WLS AM 890. So I had to see that. And it sucked. It was fucking terrible. It was awful. I don't know the difference. Here's the deal. I don't know the difference between any of these goddamn movies because there's a bunch of Conjuring movies, there's a bunch of Insidious movies, and then there's movies with nuns and shit, and then there's Annabelles and there's dolls and shit, and then there's a Sinister with your little Ethan Hawke. I actually like the first Sinister movie. But, I don't know what the fuck is the difference between the Conjuring movies and the Insidious and your nuns and your dolls. Fuck all of them. So anyway, I go see Insidious. I don't know what the fuck is going on because Patrick Wilson he's in the Insidious movies and he's in the Conjuring movies, but they're not, the Insidious movies are not part of the Conjuring universe, as they call it. They actually call it a universe. Like it's a fucking comic book movie. That's how bad these comic book movies are. That's how invasive and horrible they are, is that they are now using universes for sequels. Because the comic book, the Marvel Universe and the DC, get the fuck out of here with that nonsense. Anyway, so they're not, I guess the Insidious is not part of the Conjuring universe, even though Lee Whannell and James Wan produced all these fucking movies. But it's confusing because Patrick Wilson is in the Insidious movies and he's also in the Conjuring movies, but he's not playing the same dude, so I got confused at the beginning of this Insidious movie when it wasn't Vera Farmiga and it was Rose Byrne. I'm like, what the fuck is going? What is? It took me 15 minutes to realize I wasn't watching some stupid ass Conjuring movie. Instead I was watching some stupid ass Insidious movie. They're all bullshit. The first Conjuring movie is pretty good. The rest of them can eat it, okay? And your little Annabelles and your nuns, they got another nun movie. I don't want any of this shit. So you got your Sinisters and your nuns and your dolls, and get the fuck out of here with your that. So the Insidious movie's a piece of shit, okay? It's crap. And I take personal offense because there's a character in the movie, some little skinny little frat boy bastard, and they call him Nick the Dick. So I was not happy about that. Not because the name, it's not like I've never heard Nick the Dick before. When your name is Nick, it rhymes with a lot of shit. You know, so if I've heard, Nick, you're a prick, Nick, you're a dick, Nick, are you sick, Nick, why don't you lick my dick, Nick? I've heard that 75,000 times a day for my entire life. Even in my 50s, I hear people walking out, oh, your name is Nick, lick my dick, Nick, prick. So anyway, so there's a character named Nick the Dick in this Insidious movie. And I wasn't pissed off about that, even though he was like a frat boy wearing a diaper and he was a completely annoying dipshit character. He was Nick the Dick. By the way, my colleague Peter, who is also a film critic, was sitting next to me at this screening. And every time Nick the Dick was mentioned, he would laugh his ass off. I appreciated that. Thank you, Peter. I appreciate that. But anyway, I'm pissed off because they had a character named Nick the Dick, and there was no reference to Bachelor Party. You can't have a character named Nick the Dick in your movie and not pay homage to fucking Bachelor Party, to the original Nick the Dick. To Nick, is it Nick or Mr. Dick? Nick. You know when they flop his dick on the hot dog bun? Remember that? Classic. Man, oh man. Tom Hanks winning Oscars before winning Oscars. Putting dicks on hot dog buns. That guy has won 2 Oscars, and he put dicks on hot dog buns in a movie. People forget about that. Your beloved Tom Hanks put a dick on a hot dog bun and gave it to a woman. Forrest Gump handling dicks and hot dog buns. Pretty good for you, Tommy Hanky. Anyway, I don't appreciate the fact that you use Nick the Dick and you don't acknowledge Bachelor Party, so fuck off, Insidious. Then Thursday night, I saw the Mission Impossible movie, which is fucking amazing. Amazing. One of the best movies of the year, one of the greatest action movies. These Mission Impossible movies, they rule. They fucking rule. They rule. And it's so different than the stupid Top Gun movie. So I totally forgive Tom Cruise for the piece of shit Top Gun movie he made last year. Made a lot of money, brought people back to the theaters a lot. But the Top Gun Maverick movie, for all you people who think it's good, you're fucking dumb. It is a piece of steaming shit. But he totally makes up for it with the new Mission Impossible movie, Rule. So that was my birthday. Insidious with Nick the Dick, and no mention of Bachelor Party, and the brilliant and awesome and unbelievably over-the-top exciting, one of the greatest action movies ever, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It fucking ruled. So I had a good birthday, but I dealt with a lot of people at the theater and on the train. And then Friday came along. Friday, I had tickets to see the Dave Matthews Band. Now, if you know me, you know that I'm a Dave Matthews fan. I'm a big Dave Matthews fan. I do not, however, support the majority of the fan base, which really over the years has consisted a lot of white boy bros, baseball cap backwards, high five and puka shell wearing, hookah smoking, pot drink, drinker, people who drink 4 beers and then are drunk. And they play hacky sack, and all of the cliches of the white bro frat boy. They may have date raped, they may not have, guys. All of those cliches are absolutely true of a lot of the fan base of Dave Matthews, but I do not blame the band or Dave for that. It's not the band's fault that a lot of the fans of Dave Matthews Band are fucking white boy, moron, obnoxious, fucking amateur drunk dickheads. And I do not deny that. But I love the band. I love seeing the band. I've seen the band in triple digits. I've seen Dave Matthews Band. So I went Friday night. Now, this is at the Northerly Island, the Huntington Bank, whatever the fuck it's called at Northerly Island. There's like thousands of people down there. Now, I met my friend Julie down there. She had never seen Dave before. So we were going to meet in the Loop and then drive to the Huntington parking lot or whatever. So the train down, there's 9,000 people on the train. Get off the train. Now, it's going to rain that night. It's supposed to be pouring rain. So I meet her in the Loop. We drive down. And a lot of the streets are still blocked off because of that fucking NASCAR thing. So the streets were still blocked off near Roosevelt. The further south you went and kind of the further east you went as you were going southeast in the Loop, in the South Loop downtown area. Streets were still blocked off. Stuff was still being taken down from that dumbass NASCAR bullshit. So that was a bunch of shit trying to get down. So it took us forever to get down. We had to park in the parking lot. And we parked in the museum parking lot. Now, Julie used to work at the Field Museum, so she was like, let's park here. I know where I park here all the time. Let's park. And we walked from there. When we got to the place, it was packed, of course. We were on the lawn, and we had a blanket, and all the thing, and it started to fill up, and it was packed. And it started to rain a little bit, but I had never been around that many people before. So Friday night, the show is great. It's very, very introspective. The set list that Dave, because if you go to Dave Matthews shows, he has a different set list every night. One of the reasons why we Dave Matthews fans go all the time is because you get a different show every night, which is, not the case of a lot of big shows. If you go see Madonna on a Friday and then you go to a different city and see her on a Wednesday, It's going to be the same fucking show from beginning to end. If you see your little Taylor Swiftie, all you little Swifties out there, every goddamn moment on that stage will be exactly the same every night in every different city. Every song exactly the same, in the same order, your little Swiftie. So you spend $3,000 on seeing the same show, beat for beat, song for song for song, every fucking night. And that's the case of almost every goddamn band that you see, except for Dave and a couple of other, like the Dead guys do it, and Pearl Jam does it too. So the jam bands do this. But when you go see Dave, it's a different show every night. Significantly different. Like sometimes you will hear every song will be different from the night before. It is not the same. So that's why people go so many times. So we go Friday night, and the set list that night was very introspective and kind of melancholy, and it made me think of a friend of mine, a great actor and friend of mine, Mike View, passed away a couple of weeks ago. Very young age. He was only 52 and he died. And I worked with him. I acted with him. I directed him in shows. I wrote 2 shows with him. We did our version of High Fidelity called The Vinyl Shop together, and I also wrote a show with him and appeared in it with him called Here Comes a Regular. And it was horrible. And he was a big Dave fan, so I kept thinking of Mike during the show. It's kind of rainy. It was dark. They're playing an introspective, melancholy set. I keep thinking about my dead friend, and it's Julie's first show, and she loved it. We had a great time. It was wonderful, and there were a lot of people there, but it was under control. Getting out was a pain in the ass because it's like thousands of people have to narrow their way down to about a 7-person wide exit when there's like thousands of people. Yeah, and you got to wide. So it was a pain in the ass. Getting in the car took forever to get out of the parking lot and all that other stuff. So it was a pain in the ass dealing with that. Now Saturday, I decided I was going to go see Dave again. So I made a call and connection. I made a call, and they're like, yeah, we can't get you into the pavilion, but you'll have a lawn seat. That's cool. So I was going to go by myself to see. Now, Saturday night was different than Friday night. Friday night, the crowd was there weren't as many. They weren't nearly as drunk. They weren't nearly as obnoxious. And the set list was very sort of introspective. And we danced and we had a good time and everything. You know, there were lots of fun moments, great moments in it. But there were a lot of moments where we were just listening to the music and having a good time. And underneath really, really dark clouds listening to the music. And there were a ton of people there, but everybody was pretty well behaved. Saturday night, completely different story. Getting there, I get on the goddamn bus. I get on the train, the red line, the blue line to downtown to the Loop, and then I jumped on the 146 museum bus. And there's people everywhere. It's a fucking Saturday afternoon. The weather, unlike Friday, is beautiful. So there are thousands of people out. The Loop is loaded with people. And I'm just like, I don't like people. I don't like a lot of people. And most people suck. So I'm walking around going, hey, I get on the bus. I'm going by myself. I get on the bus, the 146 museum bus, south. Because if you get off at the Adela Planetarium stop, Northerly Island, the space is right around the corner. So, and as we're going, I see a whole bunch of white boys in backwards baseball caps, high-five and getting on the bus. And I'm like, I'll just follow those guys. If I was, I knew where I was going, but I'm thinking to myself, anybody who's never been here before and is on the bus in Chicago for the first time and they don't know where to go, follow these idiots. Follow these high-five and yo, white boy, bro, baseball guy. They're going to the Dave. I guarantee you, we'll all be getting off at the same stop. Just look at these dipshits. These are the guys to follow. So anyway, we get off. I'm going by myself, so I go to the lawn entrance. I got my ticket. I get my ticket scanned, and I walk in, and it's a distinctly different vibe than Friday. People are all, I mean, for the people who don't know, you tailgate at a Dave Matthews show. You'll go out and get drunk. You'll tailgate for like 4 or 5 hours, play cornhole, yeah, dude, and drink your beers, yeah, and blow your weed, act like a jag-off, you know what I mean? White boy, cornhole, beer-drinking, dipshit, frat boy morons. And it was in spades on Saturday. All over the place. It was just nothing but bros and all age range too, because the people who started going to see Dave like almost 30 years ago, Dave's been around for 30 years, over 30 years. Those guys are still going, but now they're like in their late 50s, like me. But they're still acting like they're 20-year-old bros. Like, yeah! And there's even older guys, like in their late 60s and 70s, who are trying to bro it up. Even though they're like, yeah, oh man, I gotta pee again, my prostate. So they're off. But they're still acting like they're 26-year-old bros, despite the fact, they've had several, procedures and shit on their body and probably have had, like tubes stuck in their dick, whatever. So the point is that there are old guys pretending to be young guys. They're all white, and they're all, yeah, high-five and playing their cornhole, being dickheads. And there are thousands of them. They're everywhere. Can't get away from them. So I get into the lawn. I'm looking for a spot. So I go to the merch table, okay? And I see that they have a rug /blanket. All right, I'll show you what it is. I have it. It's on my wall right now. It's over there. It's on the wall. I'll show it. I'll take a little picture of it and add it to the end of this video. So that's what I. So I was like, I'm gonna get this blanket. It's a rug. I can either like put it on the floor in my apartment or hang it on the wall because it's really cool. But tonight I can sit on it. So I, because I didn't bring a blanket with me and I was gonna sit on the lawn. So I get in line for the merch and the shit starts. They're like, it just starts. Dude, you need a beer? Yelling at each other like behind me. They're yelling. Like they're literally yelling. Like I'm standing right next to you. I can hear you, and you're not even talking to me. So yeah, let's go, man. Get a taco. And they had like nacho bowls for like $40. The beers are like $23. I don't even fucking know. And everything is fucking tall boys now. Everybody is drinking tall boys in aluminum cans now at concerts. Or at least on the lawn, because the lawn at the Northerly Island is separate. It's like the lawn is like the Children of Lost Toys or whatever, the Island of Lost Toys. Yeah, the people on the lawn. There's like a separate entrance. You can't even go into the main. You can't even walk around near the pavilion. The lawn is complete. It's like a prison. It's like you're like it's fenced off from everybody else. Like there's all the normal people, the rich people who can afford good seats. Who get like really good food and really good drinks. We got tents set up out here for you assholes on the lawn. It literally is like you're roped up. You can't get into the main event. Like the bathrooms are porta potties. It's like there are actual bathrooms at Northerly Island, rooms that you can go in, and they have like regular food. A lot of things, and everything is they're actual like cash registers and stuff like that. And it's real. There are seats. It's a real music venue for real human beings. And then there's a giant fence that goes all the way around it to prevent the lawn people, us, from getting into the real people in the real venue. So it's like, here's a screen. They put up a video screen. Here's a video screen. Here are some places to shit. Here's a couple of porta potties and a little back room to shit out on the side. And there's a bunch of tents where we're going to set up a bunch of shit. And there's mud everywhere. It's like you assholes who couldn't afford real tickets, you won't even be able to go into the venue. You are not actually in the venue. You are away. So we felt like prisoners. We're like, the lawn people are just separate. Like we were just like, we had some sort of disease, and you could not, mingle with the beautiful people who were in the real facility. Meanwhile, we're roped off on a lawn. And so anyway, everybody is already getting loaded. So I get to the merch, I get the blanket, I find a spot. I look around and I see a couple, just two people, and then I see like what appeared to be a mother and a daughter. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit between these two people. I'm going to set my little blanket up between these two people because they don't look like rowdy white boy, frat boy jagoffs. So I put my blanket down. I'm like, is anybody here? And they're like, nope, everything is cool. So I sit down. I start talking to the married couple. They were really cool. It was her first show, his second show. He hadn't seen Dave in 20 years. So I was telling them about all the times I've seen him. They were from St. Louis. They came in to see the St. Louis Cardinals and the White Sox play. And the Sox won, and they were not happy about that. And anyway, we had a great conversation. And then slowly, on this Saturday evening, it started to fill up, and every single jagoff who is white and broy came in and started sitting around us. And then the idiots started to show up, and it became very, very crowded. And then as the show proceeded, all the white boy, frat boy, lunkhead, dickhead idiots started to act like it. They started to scream, and they're singing along and yelling and dancing and knocking shit over, and white claws are flying all over the place, and people are falling down. Every horrible, cliched example of that white frat boy dipshit behavior was on display, and particularly these guys to the left of me. There were like 8 of these guys, and they were running around, high-fiving, taking pictures of themselves and all that stuff, and screaming. And then again, they ranged in age from like 20 to like 70, but they were all the same dude. It was like looking at the Neanderthal chart, where the Neanderthal man slowly climbs into like a human. That's what was happening. But it's like the old guys slowly becoming younger bros. It was like old bro with prostate problems and everything in between. But they were all like high-fiving. They were all screaming during songs and shit. And then if it was a song they didn't know, they would talk loudly and be drunk. Okay. So the show was amazing. The set list was incredible. They repeated one song from the night before. That's why you go see Dave. It was a 3-hour show. They did one song that they did the night before. Okay? Fantastic. The set itself was much happier, it was much partier. They did a lot of songs that people knew because it was a Saturday night crowd, and everybody was happy. The frat boys were drunk, they were screaming, they were obnoxious, they were dickheads, they were annoying as fuck, and they pissed me off. They were knocking people, and they were knocking into me. The married couple was like, man, these guys are assholes. I'm like, yes, they are, whatever. I was very happy that my friend Julie did not attend that show that she went Friday for her first Dave show. So anyway, horrible crowd, asshole, white boy, frat boy, dickhead morons. All right, horrible. Amazing show. The show was great. But then I had these 3 people behind me, 2 women and a guy, and they would not stop fucking talking. They would not stop talking. Just during songs. I don't understand. Here's the thing I don't understand. If you're going to pay money, and those lawn seats, I think they're $80. I think it's $80 to sit, like on a lawn that's not even part of the venue, where they don't even acknowledge that you exist. You know what I mean? It's like we're in quarantine. It's like we're a diseased group of people who are not allowed to be at the actual venue. And you're paying $80 to sit on a lawn, and be with thousands of other lepers in a colony, being, disenfranchised by the man of the Huntington Plaza where you're all outside. So anyway, if you're going to pay $80 to see a show and you're on the lawn, at least shut the fuck up and watch the show, or try to see the stage, which is pretty far away, or look at the screen, or at least listen to the music. Don't fucking talk. If you're in the leper colony lawn seats paying $85 a seat, shut the fuck up and watch the show or listen to the music. But they kept fucking talking. And at one point, these are a couple of things that I heard. At one point, a flute solo started during a show. There was a flute, not a full-on flute solo, but it started playing the flute as an introduction to a song. The flute starts, and this dude who's behind me with the 2 girls goes, and this is exactly what he said. And I didn't he's like, hey, this is like that fucking Will Ferrell. That Will Ferrell. Remember that fucking Will Ferrell? That fucking Will Ferrell movie? You remember what fucking Will Ferrell movie? And the girl's like, I don't know what are you talking about? He's like, the fucking Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell, the flute. Fucking Will Ferrell. And I didn't want to engage in a conversation. I didn't want to turn around and go, it's Anchorman, you fucking idiot. But I didn't do that. I just stood there going, this motherfucker says flute again, I'm going to kick him in his goddamn teeth. He's like, fucking Will Ferrell with the flute. The flute, Will Ferrell. And the girl's like, I don't know. And they're laughing because they think he's brilliant. Like, this is a brilliant observation. He doesn't know the name of the movie. He says Will Ferrell 45 times and flute 45 times. And these 2 broads think he's a genius. So I'm hearing, flute, Will Ferrell, it's fucking Will Ferrell. And then finally some other guy goes, Anchorman. He goes, oh yeah, Anchorman. You remember Anchorman? That movie, Anchorman. You remember Anchorman? No, Anchorman. And then they start talking about Anchorman for 15 minutes. And I'm like, so I wanted to turn around and kill him. All right, so that goes on. And that's the typical level of intelligence of the conversation. Will Ferrell. Oh yeah, Anchorman. Oh, where's Dave? I can't find Dave. Where's Dave? Let's call him. Hey, I can't find you. And then Dave shows up, walking over everybody's fucking, blankets, pushing people out of the way with his White Claws to get to the 2, idiot chicks and the guy behind me. They called him. We're over here. They're screaming, doing this shit to try and, So they had these idiots behind me. And then to my left, the Neanderthal life of the frat boy is being represented. The timeline of frat boyism is being represented over here. And this goes on the whole show. Screaming, people drunk, knocking stuff over. It was unbelievable. I was enjoying the show because it was so great, and they're a great band. But anyway. So my favorite comment was the same dude, Anchorman dude. Or it could have been Dave, when Dave came back and went, oh, where's Dave? Here. I saw him 10 minutes ago. Anchorman. So he comes back with their White Claw. They've all got White Claws now. Yeah! They're all getting loaded on White Claws. And at one point, there are times when between songs, they usually take, it's usually like a minute, 2 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes between songs at a Dave show. They set stuff up, they talk about things. Sometimes they call an audible and they change the set list if they're feeling something and they want to try out a new song or a different song that's not on the set list. They'll do that. So there's usually a minute or 2 at least break between, and then Dave will come up and go, thank you very much, very much for coming. He'll do shit like that. Like, he'll come up, because he's weird and he's crazy, and I love to hear the Dave banter, okay? So he'll come up and talk, yeah, thank you very much, and then people will be like, Dave! And you can't hear what he's saying because the drunk boys are screaming, So anyway, my favorite is, Dave is talking, and the guy behind me goes, man, I wonder how old Dave is now. He's got to be old. And the girl's like, I don't know, and he goes, I'm thinking So I'm thinking he's got to be older. He's got to be up there. This guy, this is like Anchorman dude says, got to be 40, 45. I'm going to say he's about 45. So they're like, oh, you think he's 45? I don't even know what happened. Now, by the way, they couldn't look it up. By the way, you can't get reception, any kind of reception, even though people were videoing and taking pictures and shit like that. There was like no reception at the Huntington because there were like 40,000 people there at the same time using the same Wi-Fi, so it was either slow or non-existent. So you got a ton, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people holding up their cameras and videoing it and taking pictures and all that. And everybody does now. But like the reception is horrible. And, you're trying to post it, I guess, and it's not posting because there are 40,000 people using the same Wi-Fi system at an outdoor concert, and you can't get in. You couldn't even make fucking calls. There was a long time where like people were like, I was trying to text somebody who was at the show. I was trying to text them, and nothing. I was like, all right, fuck it. I put my phone away because you can't get. So these people are like, so anyway. They can't look it up. They're like, oh, but he's like 40. He's got to be 45. He's old. He's got to be between 40 and 45. And I hear this, and I'm just like, what the fuck is what? I'm thinking to myself, the first Dave Matthews Band got together in 1991. They got together in 1991. So that was 32 years ago. So that if they were thinking he was 40 or 45, that would make him 8 or 14. So when he started the band, he was either 8 or 14, according to these fucking morons behind me. Dave is 56, by the way. I didn't turn around and go, yeah, the name of the movie is Anchorman, you fucking idiot, and Dave Matthews is 56. He was not 8 when he started the fucking band, you moron. Now shut the fuck up and listen to the music. All right, and it went on. And there were other comments I'm not even going to get into. Somebody said some shit that, by the way, I don't know if you're not familiar with this. There used to be a violin player in the band named Boyd Tinsley. He left the band under very, very horrible circumstances that involve accusations of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct from a different musician. So Boyd is out of the band. Boyd's been out of the band since I think 2018. He's been out of the band. So someone started making Boyd Tinsley jokes about about sexual harassment, about horrible things. But then the Boyd Tinsley joke started among the frat boys. So we got to hear some really horrible, tasteless, and unnecessary Boyd Tinsley jokes. And a lot of Dave fans are like, man, people would be like, shut the fuck up. They don't want to talk about that. The guy was an amazing musician, and he spent a quarter of a century with the band, and this horrible, horrible thing happened, and he got kicked out of the band for good reason. So anyway, Boyd Tinsley jokes started. Date rape jokes started. Dave's 45 or 40. He's 40. So anyway, people were morons, and there were thousands of them, and then getting out. Okay, thousands of people squeezing into that area. It took forever to walk out. Then I got on the bus. Thousands of people getting on the bus, all drunk, all screaming. For some reason, a Green Bay sucks chant started on the bus. I don't know why. Assuming somebody had a Packers shirt on, and the entire bus just started chanting Green Bay sucks. We're not at a football game. Oh, by the way, Soldier Field, which is just around the bend, had a soccer game that night. They scheduled a soccer game that night. So Dave Matthews is letting out at 10:30. The soccer game let out around 10:15. So in addition to 40,000 drunk-ass morons leaving the Dave Matthews concert, I would say 30,000 of them were drunk. The other 10,000 were like me going, shut up, Anchorman. So then a bunch of soccer fans. We get on the bus. So from the Adler Planetarium to Staten Lake, which is normally maybe at the most 15-minute drive. At the most, hour 20 to get there. Because people were standing in front of the bus, climbing on the bus. It was unbelievable. So I get home. It took me 2 hours and 10 minutes to get home. From the end of the concert to the moment I walked in the front door of this very apartment. 2 hours and 10 minutes. I go to bed. Wake up on Sunday. I record my SNL podcast. And then I go to meet my friend Julie. And we're going to meet at the Southport Art Fair outside in front of the Music Box. Have some food and see some Looney Tunes. So I get on the bus. I get off at Southport. Thousands of people everywhere. And oh, by the way, I was convinced while I was on the bus that I got COVID. Because everybody, there's like 1,000 drunk Dave Matthews fans in there. I'm sitting down, and there's like 1,000 drunk. So I was convinced. I got off the bus. I'm like, I have COVID. I will enjoy COVID now for the next week. So I get off at Southport. There's 1,000 people there, a ton of people in front. And then I get a text from Julie. Said, the plans have changed. Why don't you come to my house? I'm like, all right. So I go into the music box, say hello to some people, pick up some tickets for stuff that I have for the coming days. And I leave. I walk to the Red Line. I get on the fucking Red Line. And I totally forgot that there was a Sox-Cardinals game. So I get on the train, and there are 9,000 people on the train. Half of them are Sox fans, and half of them are Cardinals fans. They're doing an interleague game. The Sox very, very rarely play the St. Louis Cardinals. So there were a ton of Sox fans, and everybody from St. Louis was there. And I am now in a crammed Red Line train with people screaming at each other about the Cardinals and the Sox. Then I take that train, and I get off that train, and I said I don't want to ever see people again. And I get to Julie's house. We hang out. We have a lovely day. We have food. We watched Risky Business. It was, and we watched Risky Business. We watched the movie. It was lovely. And then I went home. So in those days, between Thursday and Sunday, the encounters that I had with a lot of people, one, I don't like it. I don't like big groups of people. I don't like thousands of people. Two, I don't like thousands of drunk fucking people, especially since I got sober. And by the way, when I was drinking and I was going to Dave Matthews concerts and getting loaded at Dave Matthews concerts, I never once acted like these idiots. I never once forgot how old Dave was or forgot what the name of the movie Anchorman was, ever. So I was just like, so when I got home on after hanging out with Julie, it was a lovely evening. I got home, I'm like, I don't want to see people ever again. So anyway, unfortunately, that's going to change because my friend Julie and I and some friends are going to see Foreigner and Loverboy in Tinley Park. I expect it to be a different crowd. So anyway, I hate people, and that opinion has not changed after my events of the week. So I just thought I would tell you about the extraordinary amount of idiocy, and that thousands and thousands of people in one place still sucks, especially when you're stuck in a leper colony outside of the venue that you're supposed to be in, and everybody is loaded and coughing. And I still might have COVID. I don't know. I'll check. I'll run across to the Walgreens right now and get a stick to stick up my nose. I don't know. Anyway, so I hope you had a nice weekend. I did. I had a great weekend. It's just that, you had to deal with people. So here's the rug I bought. There it is. That's what I sat on. I was sitting on this when they couldn't think of the name of Anchorman. This is what I sat on. There's my Escape from LA poster. There's where I do my podcast right there. All right, so there you go. So yeah, there it is. That's what I bought. That's my memory of the night. All right, so thank you.